Good, good. Tired tonight, so I'm not sure where this class is gonna come from, but we will see. All right. What? I'm sorry. Say that again. As always. All right. So let's just let things kind of settle. I'm sure people will filter in the next few minutes. We've started the recording. So just let yourself land in this moment. Let your eyes take in the entire scene in front of you. So that the center of that scene is right up here at the center of your forehead. And everything just stretches out from there. I'm going to mute you guys, but if you have a question, you can unmute and ask it, or you can put it in the chat. So, I had a teacher once who used to describe life as an arrangement of mind. And it's one of those teachings that, there are many levels to it. But one of those levels is that whenever you are moving through life, your current state of composition, your current arrangement of the story of your life, determines whether your power is contained or whether your power is leaking out of you. It determines whether you are in a position to attract a bunch of negative things to you, or whether you are just going to attract something good. And the name of the game is not to have this static perfection. Nothing in life works like that. When you hear spiritual teachers talking in that way, it's usually a red flag to me that they don't, that they're peddling things they read in books. Because the reality of balance is that it's dynamic. And the reality of life is that you're here to get whacked around. You are here to get little dents knocked into your story and to experience that aberration in the flow of energy in your story. And through fully experiencing that, you heal that. But life just throws another one. It's the way of it, right? Anyone who tells you something different is invariably selling something. I've got a body that's very vulnerable to shifts in the weather. And so I'm in Chicago, and there was a much needed rainstorm. But this one knocked me hard. And I just all my energy just flew out of me. And I'm at a busy time in my life. I haven't had a day off in quite a while. So it just, it hit me in a weak moment and knocked it out. So none of us are perfect. The kind of cool thing about meditation, especially the way that we practice it here, is that you let go of the reins of the story so that the story structure you're dealing with becomes much, much simpler. right? You don't have this giant kingdom to run in the time that you spend meditating. You simplify the kingdom. You simplify life. And it's yours to simplify because they are just stories. It's just an arrangement of mind. A temporary positioning of ideas that go in and out of being energetically functional and contained. You know, if you're perfectly contained all the time, then nothing happens, right? You don't learn much of anything from this life, except how to walk around looking full of power. You know, I've known people like that. They get themselves to a point of being a spiritual teacher where they're beyond reproach. And you watch, you know, that power collects students because it's visible in a person. But meanwhile, they don't grow. You know, they have hang-ups that, you know, if you get really close to them, you just come to identify. And God, you can stay there a whole decade, and the hang-ups that were there when you got there are the same ones when you leave. You know, so it's not about posturing. It's not about holding perfection. It needs to be more organic than that. It needs to flow. Otherwise, life can't do its thing and you won't grow. You might fill yourself with enough energy that your chakras open and you get glimpses of reality, but you don't have the flexibility to do anything but sit on top of a mountain. And when you try to do that, then those becomes, you know, that becomes the teachers that push a bunch of gender roles on their students, or, you know, find themselves romantically engaged with students, or, you know, all the little missteps that you read about on most paths. Real easy to become enlightened on top of a mountain. Quite a different thing to step back into life and find your way through it while hanging on to that pendulum. So, tonight I'd like us to do our technique of moving up and down the mountain. And the reason is because, you know, it's such a thorough putting back together of the container. You know, it just, you step into that simplified story, and then you move through the different realms of your experience of life. You've got that higher realm, which is the easiest one. You know, that's the top of the mountain realm, where really nothing's pulling on you. It's kind of the safe place you can hide from the story you've created. But then you step down in to the heart center, and now you are in a place where the story can touch you. The story can move, it can pull on you, it can do all of those things, but you're bringing that clarity down into it. So you're simplifying it without escaping it. You know, you're bringing your vibrations down without participating in the mess that you created at that level of vibration. You're just open in the face of it. You let it do its thing and you don't play with it. You just keep your attention at the heart. And then we come down into the lower center, which is the vibration of our physical bodies. And again, you've got all kinds of stories at that level too. And you have stuck things that you don't look at that level as well. But you're bringing that clarity down the mountain. And you're just sitting open at that space, not escaping it. When you can do that, you realize that it's not that high vibration is divine and low vibration is less divine. Low vibration is just dense. It's all made of the same stuff. And there isn't much power in having to hide out at the top of a mountain peak in order to participate in life. It's a very limited way to live. So we practice this, and what this does is it restores the container. And by the time we're done, I would say what most people feel is kind of peace and flow. But what that really is you have energy in your body again. You've taken yourself away from the story structure that has a bunch of holes in it, and you've replaced it with something very simple and very contained. And the more time that you spend in that container, the more you will fill up with energy and clarity. And again, the goal is not to live in a state of energy and clarity. You need to get whacked around, and it's okay. It's the mechanism of life. It took me forever to realize that it was more valuable than being at the foot of some teacher. It's where all the learning happens. It took a decade to figure that out. But because you spent some time filling back up, that clarity then can inform the story structure that you're stepping back into when you enter back into the story of your life. And you can make some of those decisions. How do you know what decision to make? Well, you look at where the power is leaking out. Where is your energy going? Some of us, it's going to people we have in our life that are black holes. They're people that have never once actually benefited from us dumping all of our energy into their black hole. And probably we should change some of those relationships. Others of us are in maybe jobs that are sucking the life out of us every single day and not going anywhere. Others of us are in periods within a job where you're building and it's to get to a certain place. And that has purpose, And so you make a decision, but it's from a place of awareness, not from a place of just continuing on the hamster wheel. You have the clarity to actually choose. We've said before, the real divine power that you have as a human is the ability to choose. From a place of wakefulness to actually look up and say, okay, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to get rid of that, I'm going to go ahead and let the energy drain out from this because I know why I'm doing it. I know what that's building. I'm going to keep this person because, they're actually making use of the energy that I spend on them. I'm going to take a break from this other person because no good is coming of it for either of us. And having me as a crutch is maybe not helping them in any way. But all of those decisions need to be made from a place of clarity. If you don't get that clarity first, they're going to be made from a place of just being reactive. A place of just being exasperated and under-resourced. When you are exasperated and under-resourced, you have to be really careful not to make any decisions. Another reason meditation is so important. It fills you back up with resources. You know, right now I've had a difficult day. I'm a little exasperated and under-resourced, but by the time we're done with this session, I won't be. But if you're living from a place of wisdom, when you are exasperated and under-resourced, you don't make a bunch of big decisions. And you're careful how you speak to people and who you hang out with. You know, I've had teachers that have said that when you're in that state, you need to be careful to not even make eye contact with people, because of what you can convey and because of what you can take in. When you make decisions under-resourced, that's when, instead of throwing away the thing that is sucking the life out of you for no reason, you just start throwing away things that are pissing you off. So you start tossing things out indiscriminately. Most of the things that bring things back to your life at some point require an output of energy. And a lot of them have phases where the output is way more than the input. You know, most of the best things that you can achieve in your life, as far as you're participating in this world of stories, require hefty investments up front. So you want to make sure that you let go of the right things. And again, when you're exhausted, you're not going to have the clarity to do that. So tonight, let's do our moving up and down the mountain technique. And I want you just to notice how that process of letting go of the story structure of your life to step into that simpler story structure temporarily patches the holes from which your energy is hemorrhaging. It's the reason you feel better at the end of a class like this. It's what I direct your mind to every time we get together. So just bring it into your awareness. Are there any questions about that before we get started? All right, guys. So you're going to start at the top of the mountain. So forehead and crown. And just imagine there's a big glowing ball up here. Okay? And the center of that ball would be if you went straight back from your forehead and straight down from the top of your head. That kind of meeting point in the center of your head is the center of that ball. And from that place, just begin to breathe. Let go of everything but that upper center. We start here because there's nothing to fix up here. There's no mess to avoid up here. We don't stay up here because to do so would be escapist. But this is where you're going to reset and get your clarity before we bring it down the mountain into the lower systems. To give yourself to the upper center means to let go of what's below. The feeling of that is almost like the top of your head has helium in it, and it's just gently pulling you up. Self-sustaining, and all you have to do is stop pulling against it. That steady, resonant stillness. Settle it first, but just let your curiosity take you into it. If you can center yourself here, the lower centers won't fight you. They'll feel safe to open up. Why? Because the story is simple and safe. There's nothing here. Nothing to defend. Nothing to grasp. Nothing to resist. Just that perfect day where everything is happening in the perfect timing, and there's just nothing to reach for. it all just feels so reasonable. That you can just open up to it. Your body can safely participate in it. In that sacred, self-existing stillness. This arrangement of mind, this is the healing elixir. You can feel it, can't you? It just feels so much better. Now on the next inhale, the way you drink that elixir is you bring it down into the heart. The very center of the heart is made of the same substance as that elixir. So find the center of your heart. And continue to open while you just give your attention to that space. Just the feeling of that stillness, but coming down into a denser part of your vibrations. Nothing to understand about that. Just experience it. It's okay if it doesn't feel as clean. You're cleaning it. So there'll be little sparks of feeling. Little stuck stories. Nothing to do about any of it. Let the story be the story. Let the feeling be the feeling. And you just be the watcher of the center of the heart. the fibers of your heart relax. How available can you be? Now drop down to the lower center, just below the navel, and at the center of that part of your body, a big ball of light that encompasses the groin, encompasses the area just above the navel, but is centered just below it. Don't ask it to be anything. Just be with it. Let it be what it is. Your awareness alone will evolve it. Make it more of itself. Just like these classes make you more of yourself. Nurture it in that way. If you can give this center a safe way to let go, then energy will be able to flow back into your body. But it has to be allowed to feel good. It can't be put off to another moment flow now. Let the feelings do what the feelings need to do, and you just stay at the center, touched and moved by all of it, but clinging to none of it. Stay with it. And just like the top of your head was filled with helium, feel your pelvis just sink gently down towards the earth. Just give in. Give in and be supported by this earth. on your next inhale, you're going to rise back up to the center of the heart. Now stay at the center of your heart, but you're going to use your arms like wings. On every inhale, you're going to bring your arms up. On every exhale, you're going to bring your arms down. And let's just do that for a few. Stay at the center of your heart while you do this. And just relax at the heart. You can feel how much more substantial the energy is there now, can't you? Brighter. Nothing to manipulate. Just let it be. No problem, Amrita. Thank you for coming. Stay at the center of the heart for a while. It's just finally now able to receive some of that energy. Just make it available. It's crazy that our story has this much control over how we feel, isn't it? Over how we move and store the only resource that really matters in life, which is our personal power and joy. On the next inhale, come back up to the upper center. That clarity, that unobstructed stillness, that is your strength. Anything you do from that place has strength behind it. Okay. Imagine if you did that every day. What if you did it more than once a day? If you got your story back on track, back into a simple format every day, mended the container every day, what would that do for the story? What would that do for your health? What would that do for your clarity and what you have to offer the people around you? I feel like we tend to our personal stories with less care than we tend to some cars. Like our life is just this beater car that we've chosen to drive into the ground. Nothing's going to ask it of you. You have to ask it of yourself. This week, I'd like you to own those areas where you start hemorrhaging energy. And I'd like you to acknowledge verbally to yourself that it's happening because you're permitting it. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I spend energy all day. And then spend some time every day letting go of that story structure for a simpler container that doesn't leak, just so that you can get some resources back. And then when you step back into the story of your life, find some little hole that you can mend. What little thing can you let go of? What little agreement can you make with yourself that improves how much energy you have left over at the end of a day? Or at the very least makes the drain of the energy more efficient in what it produces for you. This is what it means to be a spiritual warrior. You pay attention and you choose. And you take responsibility. Which is not the same as taking blame. It may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. Any questions about that before we end? I hope you feel better. I feel better. Okay, everybody. I will be here next Thursday, and I wish you all a great week. Bye. Thank you.